You know that really specific kind of exhaustion you feel when you're trying to build a service business.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very distinct feeling. It's that feeling of, well, of hunting.
Hunting, right. Yeah.
You wake up every day, you grab your coffee, and you just realize you have to go out and find the next client again.
Yep.
You're going door to door, or maybe you're endlessly scrolling through LinkedIn profiles, just sending DMs into the void.
It is the one household at a time grind. And it is completely exhausting because it's just so inefficient.
Exactly. It feels like you're on a hamster wheel. You get one client, you serve them, and then you have to get right back on the wheel to find the next one.
Right. You never actually build momentum.
No, you don't. And honestly, I think a lot of our listeners are just tired of hunting for random households.
It's the classic bottleneck for service professionals. I mean, you are literally trading your time for acquisition.
Yeah.
And the math on that, it rarely works out in your favor in the long run. You're working harder, not smarter.
Which is exactly why today's deep dive is going to feel like a massive breath of fresh air.
Highly needed, yeah.
We are shifting the mindset completely today. So we're looking at a strategic guide on team building, but it's specifically focused on this concept called the 90-day household evaluation model.
Right.
And for context, this material draws really heavily on insights from Nate Scott, and his work in life is rich. How to create lasting wealth.
Yeah, and the core mission of this deep dive today is to really move you away from that hunting mindset.
Right.
The goal is to stop looking for individual clients and start looking for what Nate Scott calls trusted intermediaries.
Trusted intermediaries. It sounds very official, almost diplomatic.
It does.
But let's break that down for everyone listening. What exactly defines a trusted intermediary in this context?
So simply put, a trusted intermediary is a professional who already stewards 50 or more families.
Okay, 50 or more.
Yeah, they've already done the heavy lifting. You know, they have built the relationships, they've established the credibility, and they actually have the ear of the household.
Okay, so the math is already way better. Instead of me finding 50 people, I just find one person who knows 50 people?
Exactly. But the really key concept here is transferable trust.
Transferable trust.
Right, because they have already earned that credibility. If they introduce you to their clients, you aren't a stranger anymore.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you borrow their trust. You bypass all that initial skepticism that you usually get with cold outreach.
That is the absolute dream. But, and I know there's a big but coming here,
Yeah.
you can't just walk up to these professionals and ask for referrals, right? Like that feels, it feels really needy.
It is needy. And frankly, it's annoying.
Yeah.
If you walk up to a busy CPA or a pastor and just say, hey, send me some business, they are going to tune you out immediately.
For sure.
To make this work, you have to position yourself completely differently. You aren't a salesperson. You are a systems architect.
A systems architect. I saw that term in the research and I loved it.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot more valuable than just, the guy who helps with budgets.
Oh, it is. Because a systems architect implies structure. It means you're the person who builds the infrastructure that bridges the gaps between leadership and finance and health within a household.
Right.
You're the one who stabilizes the family so that the other professionals, the intermediaries, can actually do their jobs better.
So the hook isn't, hey, help me get clients. The hook is, let me help you stabilize your existing clients.
Precisely. You're solving their problem. And today, we're going to walk through the 10 highest leverage categories of partners that are outlined in the source material.
And these are the people who desperately need a systems architect, even if they don't actually know the term yet.
Exactly.
Awesome. I love a good list. So we have 10 categories to get through, and the source grouped them by sector, so it's super easy to follow.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with the money people, the financial foundation, then we'll look at the stability sector, the faith and health connection, and finally, the professional community.
Let's dive right into it.
All right, segment 1, the financial foundation. These are the people who literally manage the money. So category number 1, financial advisors and wealth managers.
The big ones.
Yeah, the source mentions huge firms like UBS or Northwestern Mutual, or even independent shops like Peak Retirement Planning, Inc.
Now, this is usually the very first place people look for referrals, but they almost always approach it wrong.
How so?
Well, they think you manage money, I help with budgets, we should obviously be friends.
Right, but the advisor's thinking, I manage millions of dollars, why on earth do I need you?
Exactly. To get their attention, you really have to hit their specific pain point. And the source material drops a statistic here that is absolutely critical for understanding this entire industry.
Okay.
It says that financial results are 80% behavior and only 20% product selection.
Wait, let's just pause on that for a second. 80% behavior. That seems really high.
It does seem high, but think about it practically. An advisor can pick the absolute perfect stock portfolio, the perfect mutual fund, and that is the 20% product. That's just the math.
Right, the technical side.
But the client goes home and buys a boat they can't afford. Or they panic and sell everything when the market drops 2%.
Oh, yeah.
Or they just bleed cash every month through poor household management. That is the 80% behavior.
And that behavior completely torches the beautiful plan the advisor just built.
Exactly. The source actually calls this spending leakage.
Spending leakage.
Yeah. Clients have income, but they have weak household systems. And this leakage actively reduces what they call investable assets. If a client spends every single dollar they earn on their lifestyle, the advisor literally has nothing to manage.
So if I'm the systems architect, I'm basically coming in and plugging the holes in the bucket.
Yes, you're providing what the guide calls a behavioral stabilization layer. By implementing the 90-day household evaluation, you are fixing the client's behavior. And for the advisor, this directly means increased assets under management, or AUM, because the client actually has money left over to invest now.
And I imagine retention is a massive part of this too.
Huge. The client feels guided, not just invested.
Right.
It differentiates that specific advisor from everyone else out there who is just looking at spreadsheets. You give the advisor a measurable household scorecard they can actually reference during annual reviews.
So it turns a vague, hey, how are you doing, into a concrete, let's look at your stability score.
Exactly. It's a massive value add.
Okay, let's pivot to their cousins in the finance world.
Yeah.
Category 2, the CPAs and tax strategists.
Now, this is a very different kind of pain. For CPAs, the problem isn't necessarily investment growth. It's the sheer chaos of their workflow. They live in reactive tax seasons.
Oh, man, I could visualize this perfectly. It's April 10th, the deadline is looming, and the client just runs into the office with literally a shoebox full of crumpled receipts.
Completely stressed out of their mind. That is the nightmare scenario for a CPA.
Yeah.
The source notes that clients consistently overspend and underdocument. And here's the really interesting hook for a CPA. Many households could legally convert expenses into deductions, especially if they have side hustles or rental properties.
Right.
But they don't have the systems to actually document it to the IRS's standard.
So they're literally leaving their own money on the table just because they're disorganized.
Right. And the CPA knows this. But they don't have the time to go to the client's house and organize their filing cabinet.
Of course not.
They're way too busy doing the actual tax returns. So you come in as the upstream discipline partner.
Upstream. I really like that imagery. You catch the mess before it flows down the river to the CPA.
Correct. You ensure cleaner books and way better compliance. You turn that horrible seasonal stress into a smooth, year-round engagement.
Wow.
You're basically telling the CPA, I will take your messiest, most annoying clients and I will hand them back to you completely organized and ready to file.
You would honestly be their favorite person on earth.
You would be entirely indispensable to their practice.
Okay, so that's the financial foundation. Let's move to segment 2, the stability sector. We are talking real estate and insurance here, which are massive industries.
Massive. And they rely heavily on the long-term viability of their clients. Let's look at Category 3 mortgage brokers and real estate teams. We're talking about really established groups like Keller Williams Realty.
Now, let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Okay.
Once the house is sold, the realtor gets their commission check right.
Yeah.
So why do they care about a 90-day evaluation? Aren't they essentially done with the client?
If they're short-sighted, yes, absolutely. But the source points out a major issue that actively hurts their long-term business, and that's the house poor phenomenon.
Right. We have all heard that term. It's when you buy the absolute dream house, but then you realize your mortgage payment eats up so much of your income that you can't afford furniture or going out to dinner or taking a vacation.
It's actually a lot more dangerous than just missing dinner, though. The source mentions that clients stretch their finances really thin after a purchase.
Right.
And this creates extreme budget fragility and real default risk. But from a business perspective, for the realtor, here is the real kicker. Referrals drop when clients feel financially squeezed.
That makes total sense. If I'm sitting at home stressed about my mortgage payment every single month, I'm probably not at a dinner party bragging about how great my realtor is.
No, you're quietly panicking.
Exactly.
You're in survival mode. A stressed homeowner hides. But if a partner And that's you, the systems architect, can bring in a system that stabilizes that homeowner. You create referral velocity.
Referral velocity, that's a great term.
It's the speed at which good news travels.
Yeah.
A stable, happy homeowner talks. They show off the house, they host the parties, they refer their friends.
Yeah.
Plus, it positions the realtor as a financially wise advisor, not just a transactional salesperson. It creates repeat buyers who are actually financially ready for the next transaction in 5 or 7 years.
Because they actually built equity instead of just drowning in consumer debt.
Right.
Okay, what about category 5? Insurance agents. Life and health.
Right.
We're talking companies like State Farm.
The pain point here is very specific. Policy lapses.
Which is really just a nice, polite industry way of saying people stop paying their premiums.
Correct. And usually it's not because they don't want the protection, it's strictly cash flow.
Right.
Poor cash flow leads to cancellations. When the car breaks down and the credit card is maxed out, the life insurance premium is almost always the first thing to get cut.
So by coming in and stabilizing the household budget, you're literally saving the insurance agent's recurring revenue.
Yes, you're driving high retention. But there's another really lucrative layer here, and that's upsell opportunities.
Oh, interesting.
The source notes that clients often vastly underfund their policies. They just get the bare minimum coverage they can afford.
Right.
If you can free up their cash flow through better systems, finding that leakage we talked about earlier, the client can finally afford the proper coverage levels they actually needed all along.
And there's a health angle mentioned in the source there, too.
There is. Poor health decisions directly impact risk profiles. If a client is chronically stressed and eating poorly because of budget issues, their premiums go up, or they even become uninsurable.
Right.
A system that reduces financial stress actually improves the physical risk profile of the client.
Which transitions us perfectly into our next segment. Segment 3, the holistic and faith connection. This is where things get a bit deeper. Let's talk about category 4, church leadership and pastors.
This is a really fascinating category. We have examples in the source like the Potter's House or specific programs like Jang Financial Coaching, which really focuses on biblical financial stewardship.
Now, I know money is obviously a huge topic in the church, but what is the specific pain point for a pastor? Like, they aren't out there trying to upsell insurance.
No, but they are desperately trying to keep families together. The source is very clear on this. Financial stress is a leading cause of marital conflict.
I've heard that stat before. Money fights are like the #1 predictor of divorce.
And who has to deal with that emotional fallout? The pastor. They are completely overwhelmed with counseling couples in crisis. The philosophy here, as noted in the source, is that stewardship is biblical.
Right.
But the real insight is that members often need structure, not motivation.
That is such a key distinction. You can preach an amazing sermon on stewardship that motivates people to give or to save, but on Monday morning, if they literally don't know how to track their spending, that motivation just evaporates.
Exactly. Motivation fades, but systems and habits remain. By offering this systems architecture, you provide a highly practical discipleship tool. You are giving the church a tangible way to build stronger families.
And let's be totally honest about the institutional benefit here, too, because the source specifically mentions increased generosity and tithing capacity.
It's a practical reality. You cannot tithe what you do not have. If a family is drowning in consumer debt, their ability to support the mission of their church is totally crippled. Aligning faith plus structure unlocks that financial capacity.
It's really a win-win-win. The family wins, the pastor wins, the church wins. Now, strongly connected to this idea of well-being is Category 6 functional medicine and integrative health clinics.
And this connects right back to what we touched on with the insurance agents. The source explicitly links physical health directly to financial health.
How so exactly?
Well, think about the functional medicine model. It's often cash-based. It's usually quite expensive, and it requires a massive lifestyle change. The source notes that clients will invest heavily in their health, but they often ignore household toxins.
And by toxins, do we mean like household chemicals or?
Both literal physical toxins and the very real metaphorical toxin of chronic stress.
Okay.
Financial stress significantly worsens physical health outcomes. You can take all the expensive supplements in the world, but if you aren't sleeping at night because you can't pay the mortgage, your cortisol levels will just keep you sick.
That is a really powerful connection. So the systems architect comes in and essentially cleans up the financial environment so the physical healing can actually take root.
Precisely. It leads to much better compliance with the doctor's health protocol. It creates a whole household lifestyle alignment.
Wow.
And for the clinic itself, it creates a recurring product replacement model because clients who are financially organized can actually afford to stay on their health protocol long term.
That makes a ton of sense. So we've covered money, stability, faith, and health. Now let's look at segment 4, the professional and community sphere. Let's start with Category 7, business coaches and entrepreneur masterminds.
This one is honestly one of my favorites because the disconnect is just so obvious once you actually see it. Entrepreneurs famously mix their business and personal caps.
Absolutely guilty as charged right here. Like, oh, I'll just put this dinner on the company card.
It is such a common trap. But the deeper issue is that household chaos creates real business fragility. You have these brilliant founders who have amazing dialed-in strategies for their business, but their personal home life is a total wreck.
The source material actually references a specific framework here, the Strategy Sprint Workshop. It breaks it down into purpose mapping, challenges, initiatives, and roadmap.
Right, and business coaches absolutely love those frameworks. They take a leadership team through a 4-stage process to build a pristine roadmap for the company.
Yeah.
The aha moment for the coach is realizing that their founder client needs that exact same level of aggressive structure for their personal life.
So you aren't bringing a totally alien concept to them. You're just applying their absolute favorite concept to a new domain.
Exactly. You are basically offering a strategy sprint for the living room. This directly leads to stabilized founders, it reduces their burnout risk, and frankly, it dramatically improves the long-term survival rate of the business itself, which makes the business coach look like an absolute genius for saving the company.
It really validates that whole idea of being a systems architect. You're building the bedrock foundation so the skyscraper doesn't tip over.
Yep.
Okay, moving into the corporate world, Category 8, HR directors at mid-sized companies.
The primary pain point here is productivity. Financial stress is a massive daily distraction.
For sure.
If an employee is sitting at their desk dodging calls from a debt collector, they simply aren't working.
And the source specifically mentions health insurance costs rising here too.
Yes. As an employee's lifestyle declines due to constant stress, the company's health claims go up.
Right.
The huge benefit for the HR director is finally enhancing their financial wellness programs. Because let's be real, most of these corporate programs are just boring PowerPoint presentations.
Right, it's just some guy saying, here's how a 401k works. Super boring.
Exactly. It doesn't change behavior. But if you offer a genuine household evaluation system, you actively reduce stress-related absenteeism.
Yeah.
You help the company truly brand itself as an employer of choice. It totally stabilizes workforce turnover.
I can totally see how that would be a huge differentiator for a mid-sized company trying to hire top talent right now. You know, saying we don't just pay you a salary, we actively help you keep what you earn.
Exact.
Now, let's zoom out to the community level. Category 9, community development organizations. So we're talking about chambers of commerce like the JAX chamber that was mentioned in the source.
Right. This is taking the macro view. Small local businesses completely depend on disciplined consumers.
That's a really interesting phrase, disciplined consumers.
Well, think about it macroeconomically. A local community where everyone is broke, overextended, and swiping credit cards cannot actually support local small businesses long term.
Right.
True economic resilience requires stable, cash-flowing households.
So the Chamber of Commerce genuinely wants this program because it directly boosts the local economy.
Yes. It provides them with highly measurable community impact metrics. If they can sponsor a program that actively stabilizes 100 households in their region, that is a phenomenally powerful narrative for local economic development.
Wow.
It's essentially a scalable household reset program.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And finally, Category 10, veterans organizations. Groups like the VFW.
This is a very specific and incredibly important niche. The transition from active military duty back to civilian life is notoriously difficult. The source calls it a severe struggle with transition systems.
Right, because in the military, everything is highly structured for you. Your housing, your food, your schedule, your pay. Then suddenly you're out, and you just have to figure it all out alone.
Exactly. A veteran's identity often needs economic architecture. They are very used to operating within a highly disciplined standard operating procedure.
Right.
When that structure is abruptly removed, the sheer chaos of the civilian financial world can be completely overwhelming.
And the source actually makes a really interesting note here directly for the listener. It says, given your combat background, this audience carries credibility alignment.
Yeah, that strongly suggests that if you, the listener, as the systems architect, have that military background, you have an inherent baked-in trust level there.
Right.
You are offering structured civilian transition support. You are essentially giving them a new, clear mission and a new standard operating procedure for their household.
That is so powerful. It's not just about budgets and money. It's about helping them regain that deep sense of control and mission.
Absolutely. And that really brings us to the ultimate synthesis of all of this.
Yeah, let's bring it all together. We have looked at 10 very different categories today, from pastors to wealth managers to realtors to HR directors. What is the true common thread across all of these?
If we look at the core strategic insight from the source, the right partner, the true trusted intermediary, always meets four specific criteria.
Okay, what are they?
Number one, they already steward trust.
Yep.
Number two, they already have 50-plus households in their ecosystem.
Okay.
Number three, they actively experience the pain of their clients' instability.
Right.
And number four, they directly benefit when those households finally become disciplined.
That is the ultimate checklist. If a professional doesn't meet those four criteria, they just aren't the right partner for you.
Correct. And the single most important mental shift for you listening to make today is this. The 90-day household evaluation is not a product pitch. You are not out there selling a widget.
What exactly are we selling then?
You are offering a stability infrastructure layer. You are selling client retention. You are selling vastly improved human behavior.
Yeah.
You are selling reduced stress. Whether it's for a massive bank, a local church, or a real estate firm, the core value proposition is that you make their clients better clients.
That changes the entire conversation. You aren't knocking on their door asking for a favor. You are walking in and solving their absolute biggest headache.
Exactly. You are systematically turning their problem children clients into their star clients. And that creates massive long-term value for everyone involved.
It really creates that light bulb moment when you realize you aren't just a basic service provider anymore. You are a high-level partner in their success.
And if we connect this to the much bigger picture, just think about the sheer leverage. If you partner with just one of these intermediaries who has 50 households, you have effectively scaled your entire impact by 50x without having to knock on 50 individual doors.
That's incredible.
That is the real leverage game.
That is the leverage game. So for those of you listening, think about those 10 categories we just walked through. Which one do you already have a warm connection with? Do you know a pastor? Do you know a successful realtor? Do you know a functional medicine doctor?
Start exactly there. Don't try to boil the whole ocean at once.
Yeah.
Pick the one category where you already have a natural affinity or an existing relationship.
And remember that crazy stat from the very beginning of the deep dive. Results are 80% behavior and only 20% product.
That is exactly the provocative thought I want to leave everyone with today.
Let's hear it.
If every major multi-billion-dollar industry finance, real estate insurance is exclusively focused on selling the 20% product, why is almost no one focused on fixing the 80% behavior?
Wow. That is the huge gap in the market. And that is your exact opportunity.
It is a massive, wide-open blue ocean. You can literally be the one who owns the 80%.
I absolutely love it. Be the one who owns the 80%. Go out there, find your trusted intermediaries, build that stability infrastructure, and please stop hunting for random households. Thanks for diving in with us today.
It's been a real pleasure. Go build some systems.